Good morning. Oh, it's even afternoon, sorry. Welcome to day 416. Welcome. Hope you had a great weekend, everybody. Thank you to new subscribers. I think we've got 881 today, so we're up by 2 subscribers. No real great change here. I'm deciding to do maybe a video once a week, so I'll probably walk around and show you what's happened and what we're up to. The pool, no change here. Everyone's been obviously checking in, and thank you for all the comments about how amazing it looks. They have done an alright job, that's for sure. They've done a good job. Obviously just a couple of teething problems, like we've mentioned already, they need to sort out. Definitely one of the better contracts I've been using on the island, but we're just falling short at the last minute. One, we've obviously gone over time by, it was meant to be 2 to 3 weeks, and obviously we're now at, going to the 11th week, believe it or not. I think that's the 11th week, 10th week I think we're in. So by now we should definitely be finished. But we still got some teething problems to sort out. Obviously I've got to get the railings made, which I haven't done. That's not the contractor's fault. That's something that for some reason I've got to sort out rather than them doing. So I just haven't got around to getting a quote for those. But obviously now we're full of water, I'm not too sure how I'm going to go about doing that. So getting them done is one thing, fitting them I mean. The earth wire, I managed to encourage them to keep the earth wire over there. They said it wasn't really needed, and it's probably not, but it's already there, so why not take it up through the base of the actual the railing and get it welded in. More earth the better, as far as I'm concerned. I don't seem to be getting anything coming out the jets at the moment, so I'm going to speak to the company that's installed all the equipment, and when they come out to finish off some bits, I'm going to ask if they can try and fire them up and test them properly. We seem to get a slight current coming out the nearest 3 and nothing out the other 3, so they've got adjustable tops. I've been in, I've adjusted them, no change. But then sometimes I don't know when the pump's on, so I don't know if it's me not knowing whether the pump's on or not, so I need to talk to those guys when they come out. So what we've got at the moment, we've got the electricians going to be putting in extra breakers for the heat pump, and I think one of the other breakers. So once those go in, then the guys are going to come out and finish installing the heat pump, etc. So when they come out, I'll talk to them about the pumps. They can also show me how to work the bloody thing. No one's showing me it at the moment, so as far as I'm aware, the pump is on some form of schedule, so it comes on for a certain amount of time during the day. It's on at the moment, and you can tell because when it's on, the water level rises and the water comes into the trough, unfortunately, the gutter trough we've done. We've had a few issues with the overflow, really overflowing. Now, could be rain, not too sure, but what happened this morning when I came out, the pump was off. As a result of that, the pool water seems to decrease in height and the trough goes up in height, and as I came out this morning, it was pouring out of the actual side of the trough. And since that's happened, our water level seems to be right back down where it should be again, thank God. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. We seem to be losing water sometime and then at the right level the next time. So, and normally a pool contractor or the maintenance individual would remove that water when it gets too high manually. So we haven't had it removed. It was certainly coming out of there last night in quite a large gush. In fact, let me show you whereabouts it was coming from. So as you can see here, I mean, there's a big dent there where the water's been pouring out this hole and coming straight down here. And all of this, so you can see it's still damp now. Look, you see the damp mark. This was soaked last night. So, but last night, as you can see, and you can even see where the lines on the wall are, like where you've got all the bits. That's how deep it has been getting. But now, for the first time, it seems to be right down underneath the filter. So one thing the actual contractor was meant to be doing is bringing the float down by 12 inches minimum, so that we actually get a lower amount in here, so that when the rainwater does come in, we're not experiencing this pouring out all the time. And today the contractor was meant to be coming out to fix the pool edge. So, you know, we had a little bit of a text exchange on Saturday where he said, you know, we'll come out and rectify the edge on Monday. I said, that's great, but can we do it properly? And from that comment, he seems to have got offended. Only because it's a big job, you know, to be done right, it's a big job, and it's going to cause me a lot of disrupt. You know, we're going to have a lot of dust. We're going to have a lot of, basically what they've got to do from here, right from that corner there, in line with there, they've got to remove all of those mosaics all across the top, including that return. They've got to take off the 6 on the inside and the 6 on the outside, and then they've got to take down this side equally. So they're going to have to pull a line from here, or a laser from here all the way along. They're going to have to take this down by about 1.5 inches here, and probably a little bit more, bearing in mind obviously you've got to apply plaster and then tiles on top of that. So when you put a laser on the beginning of the tiles down there and you fire it across here, it comes to about here. So this side is around about an inch higher than the other side. So in order to do it properly, obviously what we should be doing is removing all of this and doing it. Now obviously that does mean we're going to have a height difference between here and here, so we're going to have to slope this down so we can keep the tiles buttered up where they are now, but they're going to have to angle downwards, which means we won't get some water coming off that edge, but I'd rather have that than have a step here. Bear in mind we're nice and smooth over there. So anyway, that's something we're meant to be doing, but I think the thought of him coming out and having to cut all this and lower the water, I think he thought, you know what, I'm sure I can find other things to get involved in today and avoid it. But unfortunately, the downside to that is that he's doing what everyone else does, which is just not communicating. So if he just texts saying, look, I'm not going to be coming today, let's have a chat, then that'd be fine, but I just don't hear anything. So I waited till 9 o'clock expecting them to turn up, and they didn't, and then we're now at nearly 1 o'clock and there's been no correspondence. So it's a shame, because he's started off really good. Just the usual sort of story, really. He's just got too much work on, and he's trying to spread himself and his workload and his people across too many jobs. So as a result of that, it's causing him a few teething problems, and obviously we then inherit those teething problems. Anyway, last week I said I've been working on the actual LED strip edge. I still have to get off my arse, back up the courage to get messy again on this side. I've managed to do that side there, like I said in my last video, and I've managed to do this side here. This one I started on, but I actually wore the actual the grinder bit to pieces, so I went and got another grinder, and then by the time I've changed it, I was covered in crap. My eyes and hands were sore, and the sun started going down. So it was a let's crack on with this tomorrow, and then I didn't get around to doing it. So I do need to do it, just so that we can get the track put in. And I also need to, I'm still waiting for the supplier of the equipment to tell me how we install it. When I say install it, there's 3 lengths, and each one of those lengths has come with a driver. So I'm hoping that we can put them in one line, so the 3 become one, and we use one driver. Otherwise, that means I'm going to have a driver every, whatever it is, 25, 30 foot, however long they are. We don't ever know where to put a driver, obviously. So hopefully we're going to run, spin it around. Hopefully we're going to run one all the way down that will run out about here, and then we'll connect the next one to it and run it all the way around to about here, and then we'll connect that one to that one and run that one all the way along to here, and then we'll cable along here and put the driver in here. That's the aim. But at the moment they've all come with a separate driver, so I'm like, shit, does that mean that somewhere here I'm going to have a driver? If so, where the hell am I going to put it? So that's a problem. I'm certainly going to have a problem over there if it's the same thing, but I can't see that being the case. It's got to be one driver, but I don't understand why they've sold me 3. So they've either sold to make money out of me, or they actually does need 3 drivers. So if it takes 3 drivers, I've got a problem. The other thing is also that the connectors are meant to, obviously they're both going to go, together. So they're going to connect, end to end, they're going to connect. But at the moment, the end has got a cable coming out the top of it. So rather than connecting them face to face, it seems to have a connection going up, which again, I don't have. I mean, it would mean that on, if it was here, for instance, you would have to then take, you'd have to take a bit out of the concrete here to have the cable coming this way across and then back in again. So, whereas normally what would happen is the end open would have a cable coming out of it, you would connect it to this one, and you would have a little see-through connector here, which you would normally cover over with some glue. So I'm hoping, again, that's the case. Otherwise, again, I've got another connection problem there. Electrician obviously is going to be doing the breakers, like I said a minute ago. At the same time, he's going to be pulling the lights in. So we've got 2 lights here and 5 lights over there. So at the moment, our pool is lightless until that actually happens. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I explained to you guys last week that the pool man used this pipe here to fill the pool, and as a result of that, it's connected to a pump downstairs, and he blew my pump. So let me quickly show you. We've had the pump back. Thank God it only blew like a little transistor thing in there, I think, as far as I'm aware. Put the light on. So this is where the pump was, obviously. So it's now back, it's been refurbed, it's had the bit done. He said it won't have done any damage to the pump. So the pump's now ready to go back in. But the other thing I'm going to be doing is installing a UK product, and the UK product is going to go here somewhere. So basically this is the mains coming into the house. So I actually want a quieter pressured pump off of the mains pressure. So at the moment, if you remember rightly, We have the 2 big tanks down here, which are here just in case there's any form of water issues on the island. So the mains comes into the building, into a filter, and then these 2 are topped up first. The water still continues around the back to here, but what happens is these 2 feed the pump, and the pump feeds the house, and that is switched off. So what I'm going to do is put another pump there, which is a circulating pump from England, which is 12 litres per minute, and will also be fed by mains pressure. We're going to put that there, and we're going to have that pump put back in with a stopcock there, switched to off, and the power switched to off. That's the aim. So these will be for emergencies. Now, the only downside to that is I'm not too sure how long fresh water lasts in these containers before they start going stale. So we'll probably have to come down and switch over and run those down before, every now and then. So anybody knows how long water lasts for? I mean, they're 450 gallons a tank. If they don't last very long, then it might be worth us turning one off and draining it down, using it obviously, and keeping one only. Because what I want to try and do, like I said, I want to use that pump is bloody noisy. And it also means the pressure in the house is very low until it feels a drop in pressure, then it kicks in, and it normally takes between 2 and 10 seconds, which means you can be standing at the sink waiting for quite some time. So this one will be continuous all the time, and it will be fed by mains pressure, and obviously bypasses this. So we can have that on all the time, and then what we can do is have this one on standby in a switched off position with the valve shut, backed up by these 2 if we have a water problem. So if the water turns off for whatever reason at all in the area, they're doing work on the road or there's a storm, whatever, then we can come down here, turn that off, turn the pump off, open the valve and turn this pump on, and then be fed by these 2. That's the aim, but I'm not too sure how long fresh water lasts and stays fresh in containers like this out of the sun. So hit me in the comments below if anyone knows whether that's a good or bad idea. But at the moment I do need to get around this. This is too noisy. And it doesn't work on pressurizing the system all the time. As soon as it gets turned off, the machine turns off, the pressure disappears. And then we have to wait for the pressure to decrease again in the system for it to kick back on again. So, and on top of that, it's noisy, and above here is going to be where potentially the bed for the spare unit upstairs is going to be. So that doesn't work. We also had these holes drilled to get some air coming through here. There's a bit of a smell down here because we've had 2 leaks now. We had one where obviously the pump blew up when he filled the pool. As a result of that, the pump didn't leak, it was the piping. The pipe got so hot that it melted, and this was about 12 inches of water down here. As you can see, the wood is still trying to dry out. So we have a bit of a smell down here. So another thing, guys, anybody knows of a way of getting rid of a damp smell, let me know, because down here it does smell a bit damp. So I don't know if there's some form of bicarbonate soda, I don't know, some form of 80s, 90s concoction that I can draft up, that I can spray or lay down, that just brings out the smell of a damp moisture. That would be great. So we've had these put in to help the downstairs breathe. We need to get the mosquito netting on here to ensure we don't get anything coming in. Today we've actually gone into here, and any steel that was cut through, we put the OSFO on there, and now we're going to be putting either a pipe in there and sealing it, or we're going to be re-benching in here to try and get them done. So we put one on this corner, one on this corner, one here, so we're getting a nice breeze in here now. The other thing we do need to do is to put some form of overflow in here. Obviously we've had 2 floods now, both of them, say floods, we've had floods. This has basically had a hissy fit twice. So I think the first one we had a pipe here split, if you remember right, which is where that repair is here. So that split, sprayed in here, and we've got about, I'd say 12 to 14 inches of water in there. That's because we heard it and we came down and stopped it. It would have carried on. This thing will fill up. There's nothing around here to let this water out. So if you don't hear it, we could be 7 foot in water. So that's definitely can't happen. And obviously then when the other one happened, again, we heard it again. So we managed to get to it and it was about 10 inches. So this ground here is lower than outside by about 6 inches, I think. So we would have to land up being about 6 inches and then another 6 inches. 6 inches to get the land outside, another 6 inches to make sure we're clear. It's quite a slope outside. So we need to punch a hole through here at some stage to ensure that if we ever do get a leak, 1, we let the water out, 2, we can actually see it, because at the moment when it's down here, you can't even see it. So that is what's going to happen. I've also bought some new filters for in here. These are standard water filters from Barbados, but there's a new company that I've actually I found in the US, which I'll put the link and a picture on the video when I upload it. But basically, it's a water softener filter system. So no electrics, no machines. You put one filter here, which will end up softening the water straight away. So it'll go for a salt softening system, but it's just a filter. Then it will go through this whole unit, and then when it gets to the second one turns it back into drinking water. So with softeners, as you guys might know, as soon as you actually add a water softener to the system itself, you put salt tablets in it. As a result of that, the water becomes very soft. You don't need as much detergent, shampoos, etc. You don't get staining all over glass and shower screens and stuff like that, but you can't drink it because it tastes like salt. So this system actually saltifies it, that's a word, and then it goes back through a filter and it becomes drinkable again. So I think the one I bought, there's about 4. I bought the sort of medium to top one, and I think it lasts for about 50,000 gallons. And then you just change the filters out. So I'll upload the video, I'll upload the picture and the name and the details of the system. If anybody wants anything more, let me know. I should certainly be getting those installed when they arrive. They're on their way from the US as we speak. They were about, if I remember rightly, they're about $1,600, I think, if you buy them retail with no discounts and stuff like that. So I'll get the details and I'll let you know what that is. Still have no windows coming on the water at the moment. We're meant to be getting that doorway there. We're meant to be getting the window in there, and the big window, that's still not in the water at the moment, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. I've chased again today. He said they're ready. They're just struggling to find the crates to put them in because of the sizes. And I've just said to him, just get them shipped to the shipper and we'll deal with it when it gets to the shipper. But I have a feeling that the windows aren't actually manufactured already, so that's another story. Sherwin is out here at the moment digging up a base. So what we're doing over here, this is where the condensers for the air conditioner are going to be housed. Because we're now going for a central system, the condensers are the big floor-mounted square ones. So, like I said in my previous videos, they're not going to be housed around the back of the garage now. So what we're doing is we're trying to put in a 4-inch slab. We're going to put a 4-inch slab in down here because that's where it's going to be housed. So unfortunately, we have to knock up the concrete manually, set up a little bit of rebar, get it dead straight. We've put obviously a plumb line on the wall now, and that will become the base that they'll sit on around this corner, out of the salt and wind, and also on top of that to protect the house from having the noise. But yeah, that's the best place for them. And on top of that, we'll be able to take straight through here, the wall. We'll be able to take the actual condenser pipe straight through into the basement and run it to the main rooms. And I am toying with the idea now of potentially, not 100%, but I'm potentially toying with the idea of going with the central system for the front, so it will power the kitchen and the living area, but then putting mini split systems in the back ones. 1, because of cost, and 2, just because of the condenser issue and the pipe work, etc. And the cost as well. Yeah, it's about 30,000 Bayesian for a central system, and it'll probably be about 14 to 15,000 for the splits. So, and on top of that, with the splits, we'll be able to control each one in each room rather than having it centrally on all the time and having to try and work each room to its own. So that's where we are with that. The front of the house has taken a little bit of a side step in the last couple of days, so we've managed to get most of it dug out. We've got the stones down there, that's all being done. So it's settling at the moment. We've had quite a bit of rain, so that's now been done. Any excess mud is now being put over there. The septic tank, and we have got some landscapers that are giving us quotes at the moment to physically get the turfing and everything done. So we're in the midst of sort of negotiating that as we speak. Like I said, we are going to go with an AstroTurf at the front, and we're going to go with either a turf or a seeded version for the back garden. So that would be nice to try and get that done. It really would help us finish that off, because at the moment I'm fed up looking at a black sheet. But yeah, so we will get that done in the next couple of days. But say the front, it's drying out now, so we're going to remove the excess mud. We're going to make sure that the stones are at the height needed, and then we're going to try and just get that leveled off in the next couple of days if it dries out, and then just weed sheet that back down again and put the AstroTurf over the top. So we really should sort of take it up a little bit because it's quite low, but I don't really want any more mud down there if I can help it. So that's going to be done. Inside the house, today we've had a bit of an industrial clean going on. Hinges, kitchen hinges, they're all rusting. They've been 12 months now, so again, anybody installing anything on the island, the only recommendation I can give you is stock up on WD-40, stock up on baby oil, stock up on greases. So far I found that the spray silicone version of the WD-40 is good for the tracks. I think baby oil, you know, because of the smell and because of the how it is, I think that's probably best for the hinges. So yeah, kitchen hinges, door handles, anything like that that's going to be stainless, just get a little bit of a coat on there, just protects them, so it stops the actual surface rust. So it's taken 12 months, but we're starting to get like a slight pitted rust now forming on the top of every hinge, which is obviously not great. I think once it's started, you're pretty much shafted as well, so try and get it on there as soon as you've installed, that way it will protect it. What else at the moment? I think that's about it at the moment, really. The main thing at the moment is getting this bloody pool sorted. You know, I really don't want to do any more construction work on it, I really don't, but like I said to you guys, it's got to be done right. So hopefully he'll come available and he'll give me a shout and come out and arrange, and then we'll just have to strategically work out how we're going to do it. I think you can probably get away with taking 10 inches of water out the pool, sheeting across and taping up, and doing the same on the trough. And then that way, once he starts removing stuff, he should be able to capture most of it and we better take it away. If he tries to do it without sheeting, then I think it's going to be a bit of a disaster and it's going to be a little bit of a clean-up exercise. Other than that, it's pretty much where we are so far. Oh, I am going to be, in the next couple of days, trying to source a flooring for the floor inside the cottage here. And I am waiting for the system, which I think I said in my previous video, the toilet system to come from England so that we can actually install and finish off the bathroom. Tyler, who's meant to be coming out and taking the 2 tiles off, hasn't come out. Oh, he's coming all the way out to fix 2 tiles. He's probably thinking, sod that for a laugh. And again, I'm not too sure how I'm going to get the bloody things off the wall. Any suggestions by anybody out there with some construction background, let me know. But the only thing I can think of, obviously, is just literally cutting all the way down the middle a channel so I can try and get a bolster in there both sides. So just cut like a middle piece out on both tiles. Again, this one here is about 2 millimeters as well. It's so small. This one obviously sticks out by a good sort of 10 to 12 mil. So both tiles need to be replaced and both need to be cut in quite snug as well. So in an ideal world, I want to try and get them out and use them as a template on what not to do. But anyway, I'm not too sure how I'm going to do it. Also on top of that, don't forget the tile itself. It's got these in it, so ideally I'm going to need to just cut those off so that the tile can go straight across. At the moment, I think that's the reason why he's done it so high. He's tried to just miss these little lugs, whereas what he should have done really was said, do you need them? No, and then let's get them oscillated off, and then that way the tile can go straight across. So, but yeah, so I need to get those 2 pieces out. The 2 tiles are here waiting, but I've thought about all different things. I even thought about having another one of these manufactured bigger, but you know, it's not going to be the same. So once it goes on, as you can see, it just looks bloody awful. So anyway, I don't expect a tradesman to go bending over backwards, run around the country just to come and remove 2 tiles. But it has been a good 4 or 5, well, it's actually been 6 weeks now. So I've chased him a couple of times, so if he doesn't do it, then I'll cut it myself and get it out. But anyone's got any suggestions on how to do it better, let me know. But I think it's just a case of cutting that channel out through the middle and then getting in there with a bolster and trying to get it out, and hopefully it doesn't chip the others, obviously. Apart from that, we are going to be getting the sofas open out at some stage, but again, we didn't want to do that until the pool was finished and the dust stopped. Yeah, apart from that, oh yeah, the other thing, I bought some cheapy sails. I say cheapy. Coshless has some American sails and they're very small, obviously, but from my point of view, if we could try and get one square one above there, it's about 13-foot square, 15-foot square, and then 2 triangular ones, we can try and just strategically pull them right across from one side, obviously all the way over to the other side. If there's a way of actually doing that, then it would just give us a little bit of shelter on the actual patio edge, because as you can see, we're actually in this time of year, we get a nice sun, a nice shade here, and a blistering sun over there. So it will just give us a little bit of shade and just make that side over there a little bit more usable. So I'm going to try and look at doing that this week if I can. So other than that, that's it for now. If things do change throughout the day, we'll check in again. But failing that, it might be it for today. Thanks for those that have watched. Give me a like and subscribe in the meantime if you don't mind. That'd be greatly appreciated. Comments, keep them coming. Thank you to the people that have been giving me some links to alternative products that I'm selecting. Michelle and Laura, obviously the suggestion about the ionisation and the salt pools. I'm definitely going to look into that as well. And apart from that, I will check and be a bit later on. Thanks for watching. Okay, so a continuation of Monday. Today we're going to have the pool salted. So we've had the pool itself actually had water in it for 4 weeks, but 12 days ago, 13 days ago, we had the chlorine shock treatment put into the pool, which obviously brings the levels of the pool down to where it needs to be, and then we have a 12 to 13 day window to think about whether we're going to do more chlorine or whether we're going to go salt. Now, we've tested the levels today, and the levels are now, from a chlorine point of view, very low, which means we're going to start getting marks and green appearing. So today is the day, if we're going to go salt, that we get that salt put in. We still haven't had any feedback from the pool contractor about what they're going to do with the edge. He did agree to come out and sort it and was going to come out Monday, but that hasn't happened. So in the meantime, we can't obviously put off treating the water, so we're going to have to continue with that. So we've contacted A&E Pumps, or Pumps and Mechanicals, everyone calls them. They're going to get an engineer out, and I think we're going to go salt. So we're going to get the salt put in. We've obviously got all the equipment relevant to salt downstairs, and I did do some swatting up yesterday just to ensure that I'm 100% that I wanted to go with salt, because I wanted everyone on the island sort of saying that salt is high maintenance and aggro. The good thing about salt is that once you've actually salted the pool, to a certain extent, you don't have to do it every single week or month. You have to check the levels and potentially a little bit of salt in every now and then, but once a year you do the salt. So chlorine, you're doing that every single week, but you don't do that with salt. That's one benefit. The other benefit, obviously it's a bit better on the skin, but the salt does turn into chlorine. So you salt the pool, you pour all the bags of salt into the pool itself, the pumps suck that water through, and it goes through the, I don't know what they call it, but there's a salt filter that charges an electric current through the water that turns the salt into chlorine. That's how it works. So you're still having a chlorine pool regardless, but one is a natural way of doing it, the other one is actually a chemical way of doing it. So, and you still have a slight salt content. And I think what I was reading last night, they said that the actual salt itself from the sea is nothing like a salt pool. Obviously, it's not like you're going to be swimming in the seawater. You can see and slightly taste the salt, but it's something like 1/10 of the sea strength. So it is very, very different. So it costs about the same to have a salt pool versus a chlorine pool. By the time you actually buy the equipment and salt the pool, the chlorine doesn't need that equipment, but at the same time you have to manage it and do the levels and chlorine the pool in tablets or in powder form every single week. So over a year it's roughly the same sort of cost, but with the salt pool you do have to take that, I don't know what they call it, it's like like an ionizer, I suppose, electric device that charges that water. You have to take that out once every 2 months, and you have to put it through like an acid wash to make sure that you get all the chlorine and the, I suppose it's like lime scale. You get that off of it to make sure it operates right, and you put it back in again. So that has to be done, whereas you don't have to do that on the salt pool. So Bruce and his boys are going to come later on, so when they turn up I will film them so we can see what they're doing and what they're going to do. At the moment, the guy that came out today did say that he feels that the pump is not high enough. I'm leaving it as it is. I'm going to let them deal with it when they come out, but it's currently at 2,100. It should be about 2.5 to 2.7. I think it goes up to 3,400. So he's saying for the size of this pool, it needs to be turned up. We are starting to get a couple of little marks, and I don't know if it's me imagining it, but let me show you very quickly. Because we're now tipping over that day 10, I mean 10 days after a shock on the pool you're meant to be treating, we are starting to get some black marks here. So it does look like it's either damp or mould. So we definitely have time to get that done. So hopefully today we'll get the pool with the salt in it. I think the salt takes around about 10 days to get to level as well. So the sooner we can do that, the better. The other thing we've been doing at the moment is obviously clearing out the front garden. The stones arrived yesterday, so we're going to get the stones into that little trough that we're making down the front of the house. And Sherman at the moment has actually been digging out, and we're building a platform, like I said just earlier on in the video, for the condensers. Let me quickly show you that. I need to go out and get some wrapping wire. One thing we've definitely run out of. So the box has obviously been made out now. Sherman's obviously got all the steels in ready. I've got to go and get the wrapping wire so we can get that tied up, and then we can start getting that poured in today, if the weather holds off. It was raining pretty bad this morning, but it seems to be clear as hell. So yeah, we need to get that obviously form work done, get it all nice and straight, and then we can get that poured and start looking at getting that ready for the condensers, which are in the port as we speak. So we could be looking at getting the air conditioning in the central side of it installed in the next, well, certainly by the end of the month. But yeah, the machines have actually arrived from Miami, and they're in the port waiting to be collected. So that's where we are so far. Again, rather than doing another video at another day, I've just stretched this one onto the end of yesterday's. So I'll update you as we go, but I'll go and get some materials, and I'll try and film the guys obviously as and when they arrive to do the pool, so you can see what we go through. Speak soon. Okay, right, so we're at 5 o'clock and it's the end of another day in beautiful Barbados. So, before I start, hit me with a bit of a thumbs up and some comments below if you don't mind, that'd be great. Our pool man has arrived to service the actual the pump house, etc. We're still, like I said in the previous videos, waiting for some of the electric breakers, etc. to be put in for said heat pump, and also the salt machines and equipment that we have in there to obviously make it a salt pool. But in the meantime, what they've done is they've taken the actual filter out, which is huge, and serviced that and cleaned that out. And I'll take you in and show you that in a second anyway. But we're definitely going to go with a salt pool, I think. So let me quickly show you. One issue we do have, obviously, is when the filters are cleaned out. This is all the blue from the pool. So ideally, I don't really want it all over the mud, but where else can they clean that out? I'm also going to do a concrete ledge on here as well over the next couple of days, because you know, water at the moment is leaning this way. As you can see, there's quite high patches here where people have been walking this down. So I want to try and prevent the water going in here. So I think a concrete step will make, one, it more stable, and two, potentially incentivise the water to go around rather than coming towards the door frame. The pump is on quite noisy, as you can hear, and we're a bit damp in there because that is the filter. So the filter itself is from the top to the bottom. All right, so they undo this big nut, if you like, take that off, pull this top off, all the water from this top piece pours onto the floor, the filter comes out, they wash the filter out, which was in not bad condition actually, and then the filter's gone back in again. Lid back on, tighten back up again. The pump has now been put on a 24-hour cycle at 2,400 RPM, and they've shoved 4 small calcium tablets, chlorine tablets even. Let me show you quickly, sorry about the noise. So that is full of water at the moment, and obviously it's coming through here and being dragged into the filter, mainly because we were ready to have the salt put in, i.e. that the chlorine levels were very low, but we still don't have, this is the actual the salt machine, there's the cables to it, we still don't have the right breakers in here to have this and that connected. So before the pool water starts going a horrible green colour, we've obviously had that chlorine for now. So we'll have another 10 days obviously chlorine in there for now, but we are going to go salt. That's pretty much it where that's concerned. We are going to land up benching this, but I'm going to keep it. I was going to fill this in, but again, obviously opening that up and flooding the room when it goes, easy to sweep it into the hole and then sponge it out. And then obviously over the next 24 hours, you know, Barbados is like, that room will get hot and it will naturally dry. So, just shut this very quickly. Sorry about that. Right, let me quickly take you up and show you what Sherwin has done for today. The base for the air conditioning condensers is nearly there. Pool itself, let me quickly so the edge is still full of water when the pump is on, and that's obviously the issue we've got with the edge of there, obviously. But what we are going to be doing, as you can see, the levels are still quite high. I've ordered the caps for these 4-inch pipes. When they turn up, then I'll get this drained out, cut those back, fit the caps, and I'll also take that float down to where it should be. The pool itself has got a couple of marks in it. There's a couple of black marks down there. I'm not too sure what that is. It's the only one in there. Doesn't seem to be any others. And the guys gave it a bit of a scrub, and they're quite confident it's not coming from the lack of chlorine. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. So if anyone's aware what you think that could be, let me know in the comments below. But there's no other dark marks in here from that sort of colour. Obviously we've got a couple of patches where they patched it up, but there's no other dark colours apart from that one. So I'm wondering whether they've actually gone a bit too thin with the plaster in that corner. Is there anything I can think of? Have they gone thin? But definitely can't be like that, that's for sure. So I certainly don't want to be emptying all of the pool water out, that's for sure, to get to it, but it can't be like that. So there's a few snagging things as well we've got to do on here. As you can appreciate, we've still got a lot of the blue in these grout lines. That's got to be sorted. There's also quite a few missing grouts all the way along, so that's got to be done. So at some stage, you know, depending on what happens with the pool contractor, whether he actually does come and deals with the pool or not, I shall get the water drained out, and when it's drained out doing this edge, then I'll get on with doing these. We might just drain it out anyway to get the lights put in. So again, electrician's going to be coming in to pull all the cables from here into the holes to install all the lights. He's going to be doing the actual trips in the electric cupboard for downstairs, so we can connect up the heat exchange and the other parts to do the salt. And whilst obviously the water's down to do the lights, then that's when we'll probably get on here and do a bit of a snag on here. I still haven't sorted out the actual tracks. I still do need to do those. Maybe that's going to be a job for tomorrow, because I will be working with Sherman over here and getting dirty tomorrow again. Because we are going to be knocking up some concrete tomorrow to do this. So this is where the condenser is going to be housed. So he's chiseled away into here so the concrete can obviously bed, and then he's drilled in, put a couple of obviously little bits of rebar along here. The rebar itself is now attached to those. The boarding is as straight as we can make it. I mean, it's not dead straight obviously, but it's reasonably straight. And we're going to try and create a slight run this way and that way. We want the water to land and come off that way, but obviously we want it as straight as possible. So as straight as we can, still having the water run off is what we're going to ideally aim for. So we'll get on with that tomorrow. We'll just mix it up in a wheelbarrow. It's quite a bit of concrete actually, but it should be okay in a wheelbarrow, I would have thought. And then we've decided to look at doing the pathway at some stage as well. So we might make up 4 templates, lay them down, pour them with a cement mixer as they're going off, obviously do the brush effect, do all the edging, take the frames off, move them along, and try and do 4 at a time. I'm not too sure how long that will take. I might get a couple of the other lads that were here before out to help out with that, because that's going to be it's quite a long zigzag path. So I would have thought it was going to take quite some time. We'll probably make them about 3 foot wide, width of the pavement 3 foot wide, so there'll be a gap in between each one. So I think that's what we're going to do with that. So that'll be stones, sand and everything else, and lots of sweat and blisters probably. So Tyson, if you're watching this, if you're watching this, I may be on the phone to get you back out again for a couple of weeks to help us out with it. Other than that, I think we're pretty much where we need to be. There's nothing else to report in. That's pretty much what we've been doing today. Met with a pool contractor on site this morning, and it's now been shocked with chlorine. The guys to do the maintenance have turned up and done that for me. We've now got a plan as to what we're going to do, but it's obviously now quite hinging on the electrician turning up and installing the right stuff so we can do it. I've not heard anything back from the company with regards to the LEDs for the drivers, so jury's still out on that. Hopefully we can run the whole lot on one driver rather than 3 drivers. If it's 3, we're going to have a problem. Fingers crossed on that one. So I'll leave you to it as it is. Show and see you in the morning. Legend's on his way home. So I'll check on you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thank you for new subscribers, and I'll see you bright and breezy potentially at some stage tomorrow, if not